Hey, what is happening, you mangy Magby? We got some new reveals for our Temporal Forces set that unfortunately is still coming out at the end of March. So many cool new cards are being revealed, and we're still like 2 months and a half away from them coming out. And I know they're not coming out for a little while, but when they do come out, I'm sure quite a few of you are going to need some codes, so you can turn those codes into credits so you can make all the new cards. And of course, as always, PTCG Store has got you covered, and maybe you need some codes right now. And if you do, PTCG Store, head over there. Link, of course, is in the description. Of course, you can always use code AzulGG as well to get yourself a discount. PTCGLstore.com, link in the description. Let's jump into it. I'm going to be using my favorite word quite a few times with these new card reveals, and that is potential. And this first card has a lot of potential. The Metang, 100 HP, can't be level balled for, but level ball does also rotate. So once on your turn, you may look at the top 4 cards of your deck, choose any number of basic metal energy you find there, and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like for its ability. And then for a metal colorless, that's 60 damage. That's a pretty powerful ability. Top 4, any metal energy, any of your Pokemon, any way you like. That's a lot of NEs. That sounds pretty good to me. Sounds like it's got a lot of potential. Yeah, the Metang for metal energy acceleration is looking pretty powerful. I'm loving this. We're starting off strong here with the Metang. I think it'll definitely be a played card. We do have a Metagross to go with it, which is not quite as good. 180 HP. Got the Meteor Smash or Meteor Mash. Monster Mash for 1 metal, 60 damage during your next turn. This Pokemon's Comet Punch does 60 more damage. Is it a Meteor Mash? Is it a Comet? I guess it's kind of the same thing. Meteor Mash, Comet Punch. I guess there's a mistranslation there, but I assume it means the same attack. Otherwise, that'd be a little bit confusing. Only doing 60 more damage isn't very good. 200 damage is not bad, but for metal, colorless, I don't know if it's great. And then you also have to discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. So I think you probably run 1 Metagross in any deck that you're running the Metang in. The Metang seems really good. Metagross pretty mid, but if you probably have like a 4/4 Metang line in your deck, you're probably including a 1 of Metagross, because I mean, doing 200 damage on a 1-price Pokemon that has 180 HP, although it's not super efficient. I mean, that's still like a good option to kind of have around for sure. We're going to skip the Wugtrio EX because it's bad, but we're going to move on to a better EX in the Gengar EX, 310 HP. Got that Curse ability. Whenever your opponent attaches an energy from their hand to one of their Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. These abilities have always been terrible. They've never been good, ever. We even have a Radiant Pokemon that has this ability, but I guess it's only for V Pokemon. It's still bad all the time, but the attack is solid, and Dark Patch does survive rotation. Also, rotation was confirmed to be coming out alongside this set. We kind of already knew that. End of March, rotation was going to happen. All of E-Block rotates. We already knew this, but it is confirmed now, so now we know for sure, I guess. For 2 Dark Energy, you do 160 damage. You may move 1 energy from your opponent's active Pokemon to one of their bench Pokemon. You're basically 2 KOing everything. Pretty efficient attack as well with Dark Patch still in the format. The ability, if we're not getting KO'd instantly, is probably not terrible. Being weak to fighting is also decent right now as well. Gengar's got potential. Definitely got some potential there. Love to see it. I love to say it. Gonna skip the Fraligator, though. No potential. Whimsicott, a little bit of potential here as well. With that lifting heal, once on your turn, when you play this Pokemon to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may use this ability. Also, a Pokemon with 100 HP. Are they going to be doing something with Pokemon with 100 HP? Level Ball rotates, so we don't have to feel as bad about the Pokemon not having about them not having 90 HP. But are they about to print Level Ball plus 10? Maybe. Heal all damage from your active Grass Pokemon. If you do, discard all energy from that Pokemon. Potential? I guess. Potential here. I don't know. The healing is really nice. The discarding all of your energy is not very nice. I can't think off the top of my head something that this would combo well enough with to make it good. But maybe we have to like wait for something else. Maybe you play with Meowscarada, I guess. You attach a double turbo, you attack with Meowscarada, they hit your Meowscarada, you Whimsicott your Meowscarada, you attach another double turbo. Maybe that's a lot of evolution Pokemon that aren't drawing you cards. Meowscarada with B-Barrel is pretty solid. Meowscarada with Pidgeot is pretty solid. Maybe like a 1/1 Whimsicott with like a Pidgeot Meowscarada build. Ooh, okay. I kind of like that, actually. We might be cooking something here. Meowscarada, Whimsicott, could see it. Pidgeot to recover your double turbo energy as well. Okay, I kind of like where this is going. That might actually work. Relicanth, 100 HP, bringing back a classic ability that we've seen on other Pokemon in the past, but also has been in tool form as well. Each of your evolved Pokemon can use any attacks from its previous evolutions. You still need the necessary energy to use those attacks. These tools that have had this effect and abilities on basic Pokemon that have had this effect have always been decent amount of them I've also seen play throughout the years. I expect Relicanth to have its moment at some point in a deck. Moving along, and actually one deck that I might see play with is actually this Incineroar EX. 320 HP, the ability Adversity Act. Attacks used by this Pokemon cost 1 colorless less for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And then for fire, colorless, you got the 240 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. That's effectively 260 damage. That's not bad, especially because it could cost 1 fire energy. That's pretty good. Now, they do have to have 4 bench Pokemon, and they have control over their own bench. So we're probably gonna need a little bit more than 1 fire energy. We still got the Magma Basin. You can play this with double turbo energy. Then we're only effectively hitting for 240 damage, but that KO stuff like Miraidon and like the new long neck Raikou card that comes out as well has 240 HP. We're KOing those things. Like, that's still pretty good. And if you combo this with the Relicanth, we could copy something like the Torracat's attack as well for fire. Flare Strike, 80 damage. This Pokemon can't use Flare Strike during your next turn, so you could do 80 for 1 fire. I guess you could use Bite for 1 fire. You got the Litten with the Fake Out for a fire. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. But there's actually another Litten, an older Litten, that for 2 fire energy does 10 damage plus 10 more damage, or plus 20 more damage, actually, I think it is. 20 times the amount of damage counters on this Pokemon. So, you got the Incineroar EX, 320 HP. That's a lot. We're not getting 1-hit KO'd by much. We are weak to water. Hopefully, we're not playing against Chien-Pao. Then they punch us, and we go, okay, cool, bench our Relicanth, copy the better Litten's attack, and then let's say they hit us for 200 damage, then we hit them back for 400 damage. That's not bad. That's a pretty good damage. That KOs most things. Yeah, so we're not Blazing Bombing. We got some other options. Incineroar EX with the Relicanth. It's got some options there for sure. The Giraffe. Armor Tail, 260 HP, stage 1. Prevent all damage on this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon EX. And there was a lot of basic Pokemon EX recently revealed. A lot. A ton. A lot of future and ancient Pokemon. We went over it in my previous card reveal video. Check that out if you want to know what those do and what I think about those. There's some more in this one as well. Yeah, the Giraffe's got some potential here. Psychic Colorless, 160. This attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Also, we could combo this with the other Giraffe. That does 20 plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. Get a Relicanth in there. Get access to the side damage on the baby Giraffe from our big Giraffe. I could see it being a thing. More importantly, I could see this ability being really good, making the Giraffe worth playing. 260 HP is also decent as well. We are weak to grass, which is also a decent weakness to have because grass Pokemon suck. But that Meowscarada Whimsicott, that could turn the grass Pokemon around. Who knows? Maybe the Whimsicott Meowscarada combo is just too good and the Giraffe becomes unplayable. But a lot of good basic EXs right now. Miraidons, Iron Hands, like I said, more future and ancient Pokemon coming out with this set as well. Armor Tail got some potential on the Giraffe. Maybe it's a deck by itself. Maybe not. Maybe it is just kind of a tech 1-1 where you just kind of beat some decks because you play the 1-1 tech of the Giraffe EX. Got a Roaring Moon here with 140 HP ancient Pokemon. For double dark energy, it does 70 plus 10 damage for each ancient card in your discard pile. Maybe cute as a one-of in a Roaring Moon deck or any ancient deck with dark energy. Maybe this is the best one prizer to play, but I don't think so because we got this Koraidon here. Now, I was really hype on the basic Sandy Shocks that for 1 fighting energy does 90 damage if you have 3 energy in play. So Sada for 2, attachment for turn, put the Sandy Shocks in your active, and knock out a Ralts. But now we got this Koraidon, which kind of makes the Sandy Shocks not very good anymore. Why'd they have to do Sandy Shocks like that? 140 HP, fighting colorless, 30 damage times the amount of ancient Pokemon in play. So you got your own ancient Pokemon. It is your ancient Pokemon. So you got the Koraidon, so that's 30 damage. And then, I don't know, we got like another ancient Pokemon because we probably use Sada. That's 60 damage. If we just get one more ancient Pokemon in play, that's 90 damage, and it's doing it for 2 energy in play instead of 3 energy in play, like the Sandy Shocks. So is there really a point in playing the Sandy Shocks? I don't think so. It also has a Shred attack, so now we can also beat the Giraffe with the Shred for fire, fighting colorless, 130. This damage isn't affected by any effect on your opponent's active Pokemon. Why'd they have to do that? I was so hype on that Sandy Shocks. I was like, this is sick. 1 fighting energy. We do 90 damage for having 3 energy in play. That's Sada for 2 plus our attachment. And then they had to print this thing, which is just seems better than Sandy Shocks. Come on, give Sandy Shocks a shot. It's got Shred too? Dude, great Tusk. All right. I don't think this one has competitive potential, but if it does, that'd be pretty crazy. We got a mill deck on the come up with the great Tusks. 2 colorless energy, discard the top card of your opponent's deck, but if you played an ancient supporter card from your hand during this turn, discard 3 more cards from the top of your opponent's deck. Durant is back in Donphan form. The mill 4 is back. We just have to make sure we play an ancient supporter, but with this thing taking 2 colorless energy to be able to attack, That sounds like we want to be playing Sada anyways. But we could play this with double turbo. And there is that new ancient supporter coming out. Look at the top 6. Take any 2, discard the rest. That could find us our double turbos. Maybe some counter catchers to stall our opponent, make them play the game a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, mill. This is another mill deck. I mean, the Wug Trio mill, not great. Durant, not great. Although Durant did get a top 8 at a regional over in Australia. And then, of course, Durant, the Metal Durant, way back in the day, was broken. Really good deck for how little you had to do. Will Great Tusk match the power of old Durant mill? I don't think so, but it's going to be cool. That's for sure. We haven't seen a mill deck probably be as good as this Great Tusk is about to be in quite a while, which I don't know if that's a good thing. That sounds like an annoying thing, to be honest. I don't know if that's really a good thing. All right, Iron Valiant, a new Iron Valiant. They did reveal another 130 HP Iron Valiant, which wasn't great. It's basically a copy of Plasma Kyurem, but this one actually looks decent. For a Psychic Energy, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, put them back in any order. Meh, who cares? Then for Psychic Side Colorless, we got the Majesty Sword, 100 damage. If you played a future supporter card from your hand during this turn, you do 100 more damage. Now, the future supporters are kind of weak, I guess, overall, so that's like the big thing holding this card back. But a 1 prize that can hit for 200 damage is also a basic, especially when you look at some of these more cards, some more of these cards, this card will make a lot more sense as to why it could be good. That's not bad. Psychic Side Color is a little bit tough to get to. Now, you could play this with Xatu and the Mallow reprint Code Breaker future supporter that takes 2 cards from your deck and puts them on top of your deck, and then you could Xatu an energy to a Iron Valiant and draw 2 cards and repeat that process and hit for 200 damage. That's not bad. Xatu, Iron Valiant, Code Breaker could be a thing. Or you could just play this with the Miraidon, which is a very good card here for sure. 110 HP basic Pokemon, speed peak for a colorless 40 damage. Search your deck for 2 basic energy and attach them to your future Pokemon in any way you like. With all the weird energy cost future type Pokemon that have been coming out, we kind of knew there was going to be some future Pokemon energy acceleration, and Miraidon's part of it, but not all of it. But hold on, we'll get there in just a second. But it's definitely a big part of it for sure. That's an insane amount of energy acceleration. You combo this with the Iron Crown or whatever that Pokemon is called. Your future Pokemon do plus 20 damage. You maybe get the tool card on there that gives you free retreat and plus 20 damage. We're looking at 80 damage with a speed peak. We're knocking out Ralts. We're knocking out Ralts. We're knocking out Charmander. We're knocking out Pidgeys. Turn 1 knockouts, accelerating 2 energy into play. That's too much. This card is definitely good. Actually, yeah, it's just a good card. Good card. This is the future Pokemon's energy acceleration. We knew it was going to come out eventually. This card sucks. Don't ask me about it. This one, this Dawn Fan. We knew it was going to come out eventually. The question was just like, in what form is it going to be? And the answer was that Miraidon and a little bit more. Order box, you can use this card. If you use this card, your turn ends, search your deck for 2 item cards, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. I actually don't hate this card. I think it could be decent in decks that play Arven, actually. You go Arven turn 1, get yourself the 4 Seal Stone, 4 Seal Stone, 4, well, I guess not Battle VIP Pass anymore. Get a Poffin maybe, Poffin out some basic Pidgey and a Charmander maybe, and then hit with an order box, get double rare candy to the hand, boom, rare candy Pidgey out, rare candy Charizard next turn, we're cooking. Yeah, order box as a one of in Arven decks actually is pretty interesting, and maybe in control decks as well. Not too sure, but yeah, in Arven decks, one of order box, I could see it, definitely see it for sure. Hand clippers, control, anti-control type card here. Both players discard cards in their hand until they have 5 cards remaining. Their opponent discards first. Players don't discard if they have 5 or less cards in their hand. So you discard until you have 5 cards in your hand. Yeah, anti-control deck, because control decks sometimes like to build up really big hands, and then making them discard down to 5 would hurt a lot and probably just winning the game. And then good for control, because sometimes control's win condition is to deck you out. And if you've built up a really big hand while you're just draw passing and you're going to wait to Iono your hand back to your deck, they could hit you with the hand clippers. And if you have like a 20 card hand, you have to discard 15 of them, and then your Iono is less effective and you're going to deck out a lot sooner. So could definitely be a good control card and also a good anti-control card. You could play this with the Great Tusk, so while your opponent is draw attacking over and over again, going through your Great Tusks, you can hit him with the hand clippers at some point, so that way they can't just Iono a bunch of cards back to their deck and then win, because they have so many more cards in their deck that you're going to be able to deck out before they draw their 6 prize cards. So hand clippers, anti-control control card, look out for it. Got the emergency board, not quite as powerful as some of the other pivot tool cards we've seen in the past, and I think this actually feels like the most balanced of them. Floatstone was broken, Air Balloon was pretty good as well. And even the escape board, being able to remove sleep and paralysis, specifically because of how it comboed with Jirachi, was also pretty nuts. Emergency board, though, the Pokemon this card is attached to has 1 less colorless in their retreat cost, and if it has 30 or less HP, it actually has no retreat cost. I don't know how often that's going to come up. It could, but I think the first effect of it is still pretty solid. Being able to make any Pokemon with 1 retreat cost into a pivot, or helping out any Pokemon with a higher retreat cost, making them easier to move, is definitely pretty good. I definitely expect to see this card be played quite a bit as your like go-to switch. Instead of just switching once, why not play something like the emergency board and switch multiple times? You can even see this being played in decks to make it combo with like the Bombardier bird or Bombardier. Get to the Bombardier on the first turn and they still have a pivot to work with later on. Who knows? It's definitely a solid tool card. I actually really like this in comparison to what we've seen in the past from the float stones, from the air balloons, from the escape boards. It's just like worse than all of those, but that makes me feel like it's more balanced. And this is what all those maybe should have been to begin with, is like, yeah, Floatstone is just like, thinking about Floatstone is just like ridiculous. Why did that card ever? It's just too good. There's no like drawback. It's just, I can retreat anything always. Broken card, way too good. Got a Bianca's card here. Heal all damage from one of your Pokemon with 30 HP or less remaining. Limited by the 30 HP or less remaining. This is gonna be one of those very specific tech cards that could pop up and be played in a deck where it's like, hey, this deck in this matchup, I always end up with Pokemon having 30 or less HP. What if I played this Bianca's card, and then all of a sudden I solve this matchup and I just win the matchup because they hit me really hard, not quite enough to knock me out, but hard enough that I wish I had a Bianca's. And that's where this Bianca's card will probably land. I can't imagine it being like a super mainstay, but very much a matchup specific tech card when that situation comes up where you have a Pokemon with 30 or less HP remaining after an attack. Eerie, look at your opponent's hand, choose 2 item cards you find there and discard them. This card I actually think is really, really good, especially if you used to play back in the day when we had Getsis. Getsis said, look at your opponent's hand, shuffle all the item cards you find there back into your opponent's deck, and then draw that many cards. So I would say Getsis is better. Eerie does discard the cards. I think it definitely seems like a pretty powerful disruption supporter. Like, imagine you're going back and forth with your opponent, Iono here, Iono there, and then all of a sudden in the middle of it all, you just hit him with an Eerie on like a turn where you didn't really need to use a boss's orders or use an Iono or anything like that. You could take away some really key cards from your opponent's hand potentially, especially if they were like sitting there and like building up for like some bigger combo maybe. Yeah, definitely powerful supporter card. Maybe the tempo of the game is going to be too fast to include this in decks initially, but I think it'll definitely have its moment where it feels very powerful and is a very strong inclusion in some decks, if not many decks, especially if you like run Luminion, because you can go search out the one of Eerie basically whenever you want. All right, we're getting to some new A specs here. Drum of Awakening. Right when we thought everyone was just going to be playing Prime Catcher, they come out with these. Now the Drum of Awakening, this one's close. I don't know if this is going to replace Prime Catcher, even in ancient decks. Draw a card for each of your ancient Pokemon in play. That's pretty good. If we got... Now, ancient decks do seem like they're pretty aggressive with Sada, so we probably have Squawkabilly in play. Let's say we have 5 ancient Pokemon in play. Being able to play an item card that just draws you 5 cards, that's pretty good. That's seen a lot of cards. So... could play Prime Catcher instead of this, or you could play the Drum of Awakening, which can help find you stuff like early Sadas, early this, early that, whatever you want. Also can help you find boss's orders, which is your gust effect for your turn. So will this replace the Prime Catcher in the ancient decks? I'm not convinced, but I am pretty convinced that Reboot Bot will be played over Prime Catcher in the future decks. For each of your future Pokemon in play, choose 1 basic energy from your discard pile and attach it to that Pokemon. This card is absurd. That's an insane amount of potential energy acceleration and can be comboed with one of the most powerful cards in the game, Iron Hands. You can literally go like Iron Hands off of Miraidon, Reboot Bot, lightning to each of them, attach a double turbo, play a generator. Like, that's just absurd. And also the amount of combos you can pull this, what you can pull off with this card with like the future box deck, that is definitely going to be a deck now that we have the Miraidon, the Dragon Miraidon that accelerates energy, plus the Reboot Bot. Like, so much energy acceleration. That's exactly what future Pokemon were missing. If you watched my previous card reveal video, I talked about how we're basically just waiting for some type of future energy acceleration to come out, and it's here. It's the Reboot Bot and it's the Dragon Miraidon. Yeah, future's actually looking pretty good now. Looking pretty bad before. I was looking like, this kind of looks terrible, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. But it was like, they have to come out with some form of energy acceleration, and it's here, and it looks kind of disgusting, to be honest. It's looking like it's gonna be pretty powerful. The future's looking good, the ancient's looking good. And also with the previous release, oh, I guess that's 2 videos ago. They've been revealing so many cards recently. With the Buddy Poffin, it's looking good for stage 2s as well. It's looking good for everyone. Everyone's eating good. The only thing that I guess I wish I wasn't in the format, to be honest, was like looking at these new aspects coming out. It just kind of makes me wish that Prime Catcher wasn't a card. But, you know, if Ancients got this and Futures got that, maybe the stage 2 decks, not only do they need the Buddy Poffin, they might also need the Prime Catcher to be able to compete with what's coming out for the Ancient and Future Pokemon. So maybe it's not going to be as bad as we think it is. Maybe it'll be just right. Well, we're going to have to wait and find out. And that's gonna do it for me in this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give it a like, leave me a comment. What did I miss? I didn't go over every single card. Were any of the ones I missed actually worth going over? I don't think so. I read all of them before I started the video. I don't think any of them were very good, but let me know if I missed anything that stands out to you, and I'll catch y'all as always in the next video. Peace.